This is Dr. Wysong. This series of videos on the big questions of life will show where each one of us is led if we dare to leave behind preconceived ideas and see where reason and evidence lead. The law of time. Time's arrow is downhill toward disorder, not upward toward the functional complexity of the universe and life. Nevertheless, evolutionists attempt to use time, vast time, as a proof. The universe is said to be, by them, about 17 billion years old and the Earth about 4.6 billion years old. Those ages, as will be explained, are by no means absolute. They're selected from many possible ages to give evolution its breathing room. The uncertainty of dating methods. Any dating method that takes us beyond observable history is a guess. Certainly nobody was around over the course of billions of years to observe and record events that could affect dating clocks. We can't know with certainty that ice has always been laid down at today's rate, that tree rings only record 365-day years, or that sediment has always accumulated at the rate we now see it accumulating. Even the sacrosanct rate of radioactive decay can be called into question. In fact, cosmological, tectonic, and climatic cataclysms have occurred which have accelerated and slowed clocks. That would make it impossible to extrapolate from rates observed today into the past and date anything with certainty. For more detail on this and the shortfalls of dating methods, see my previous book, The Creation-Evolution Controversy. Consider the contradictions and errors that have arisen. For example, in 1991, Oxford University's radiocarbon accelerator unit used the radiocarbon method to date a rock painting that was found in Africa and determined it to be 1,200 years old. But later, a Cape Town artist identified the painting as her own recent creation and explained it had been stolen from her garden. The Harvard Institute of Geophysics used the potassium-argon method to date lava 3 billion years old, but the lava was known to have formed in 1801. In another case, lava that was known to be 1,000 years old from historical records was dated at 465,000 years old. The same sample can also yield vastly disparate ages if different dating methods are used. Examples could be enumerated almost endlessly. As a rule, when there are dates that do not accord with presuppositions about how old a certain thing is expected to be, they're ignored or set aside as anomalous. Evolutionists are not alone in their bias about the age of the Earth. For example, Archbishop James Ussher in 1650 read the Bible and decided creation took place in 4004 BC. Dr. John Lightfoot, a professor at Cambridge, one-upped Ussher and added more precision. He agreed that creation occurred in that year, but on October 23rd at 9:00 a.m. These confident fellows also based conclusions on prior belief. Contrary evidence was summarily rejected. Catastrophes. It's assumed that it takes millions of years to create the vast depths of sedimentary rocks in the Earth's crust. Dating these rocks would be a simple matter of measuring how much sediment is laid down today by rivers, oceans, and floods. That's about 0.2 of a millimeter per year on average, and dividing that 0.2 of a millimeter into the depth of the strata. This sounds reasonable enough as long as there were no cataclysms that accelerated deposition or erosion. But scientists have now come to understand that Earth history does not always move uniformly or glacially slow. It is pockmarked with catastrophe. Modern examples show the dramatic impact such events can have on geology. For example, when Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980, 18 billion cubic feet of material laid down 600 feet of sediment. Subsequently, a 100-foot deep canyon was cut. The walls of this canyon show a layering like the walls of canyons all over the world that are used to prove billions of years of history. Vast and quick sedimentation with sudden burial is necessary for fossil formation. Otherwise, huge dinosaurs and mammoths could not get preserved as fossils. Some creatures were killed and mummified so quickly that food is still in their mouths and undigested in their stomachs. Millions of marine creatures that would normally just die, be eaten, or decay are preserved as fossils. Trees are fossilized, upright, coursing through 40 feet of coal, but no tree could avoid disintegration while millions of years of coal were formed around it. Extremely fragile tissue such as skin, fish scales, and eyes have even been preserved. Such would demand instantaneous burial and encasement. Thus, fossils do not prove vast time, they prove sudden catastrophe. A young universe. Evolutionists start with the presumption of vast time and select those dating methods in support. Religionists start with the presumption of a young universe and select those dating methods in support. Neither can prove their beliefs with certainty using dates. Time is irrelevant. The integrated nature of our reality demands sudden creation. That's because our physical reality is like a machine, and machines will not function without all elements simultaneously present. We're part of an infinite machine consisting of organs, cells, and biochemicals, connected to an ecological web of millions of organisms, connected to air, water, light, and innumerable physical forces generated in a cosmic web of planets, stars, galaxies, and perhaps even other universes. Creation would scrap the reliability of all dating methods. Sudden creation would immediately create the appearance of age. 1 second old creatures could appear decades old, and 1 second old galaxies could appear to be billions of years old. Although the idea of sudden creation may seem ridiculous to us because we're four-dimensionally bound, in the physics of quantum reality, time is irrelevant. Everything past and future exists simultaneously and is connected. This mind-numbing fact is discussed more fully in coming parts to the series. The integration and codependency of our reality is an impenetrable blockade to an attempt at a step-by-step evolution, no matter how much time is granted. It also conflicts with the religious notion of creation in day steps.
The law of time demolishes evolution, yet evolutionists use it as their savior. It's really more their devil, since the more time, the more degradation and disorder. That's the opposite of what evolution needs. Moreover, degradation and disorder point backward to a winder-upper. But the only sufficient winder-upper would be intelligence. That's where logic and science lead and has nothing to do with religion. Materialistic evolutionists could prove their time makes evolution hypothesis with evidence, experiments, and reason, but they never do. Instead, they just offer fanciful stories. That's religious faith, not science. Thank you for listening. Keep in mind that solving the big questions requires foundations upon which truthful answers can be built. So please work through the series sequentially. This information has taken decades of research, thought, and writing. Aside from the peace of mind the solutions have brought me, the only reward I seek is hearing that it's helped you. Feel free to contact me with any comments or questions at asifThinkingMatters.com.